Discord, if you can, if you have a computer with a mouse, I mean, it's we're in the 90 percentile, right? It's not that hard. What we're doing is not hard at all. I'd say we're probably averaging about 98% on that. The only couple, I have two guys that didn't do well in the program, and they were 60 plus years old, and they couldn't use Discord. They didn't know how to get on YouTube, right? So at that point, you can't really teach anybody because that's where the videos are. So if you can do basic technology, you're going to be successful, right? Because you got to remember our goals are very, very small goals for success, right? So um, when you take the course, the reason why we have an introduction, right, which is where you have $1,000 worth of indicators, we get them out to 300. We do an enrollment, but we need to walk you through the basics of setting them up, getting in there, and then going over the videos. At the end of the day, once you have the indicators and you're doing what you need to do, if it all makes sense to you and we can evaluate you, then we can move you to the next part of your course of what you're doing, right? So that's why we do the one-on-ones is because, people so if you sign up for anything, it's like you're saying, like nobody offers a one-on-one, right? If you don't have a one-on-one, then you don't really know if the person's learning, right? And the whole part of the reason why I did the one-on-ones for the last year was because I needed to evaluate the videos and how people do them. Because what I'm doing is every time I talk to somebody and they watch the videos, if they didn't understand something, then I remake the video and I add their opinion or maybe I shorten the video and I make it more direct. But what I'm doing is I'm still advancing the system to be better and better to work with new people, right? Because it's like if you guys ever use like Photoshop, right? Back in the day, Photoshop had a very simple layout, and then one day they changed it, and it was like drop boxes all over the place, and you're like, what is this? And the guys that I was talking to that were doing the creation were like, yo, look how cool this is. Well, if you're a nerd and you love drop boxes and all this technology, you're like, yo, this is fantastic. But that's only 1% of the people using Photoshop. The other 99% of the people were like, I can't find anything. And I was like, you made something that was for your community, which are a bunch of nerds and developers, but the end user is the guy you got to cater to, right? So that's why I talk to people and say, okay, when you watch the video, did you understand, right? And if they don't, I fix the video because I might be saying something, maybe the lingo, maybe I say something in a lingo instead of saying it directly, right? Because they don't know lingo, they've never traded before. So when I'm like, if I say something that they don't understand, I fix it. So that's what I've been doing over the last 6 months was fixing videos and upgrading the process so that end users, it doesn't matter where they come from, they all understand what it is. And that's why I just kept the one-on-ones in there because once you watch the videos, a one-on-one with me isn't going to be a long process. It takes 15 minutes because if you watch the videos, you already understand what you're doing. You already have everything set up, and all you basically need me to do is watch you walk through the steps so I can say, okay, right there, just change that, and to give you little tips and tricks to make your experience better. So it's not a 2 hour drawn out scenario because the videos are very clean, right? And if the people don't have that response, then I know they didn't watch the videos, or I'll ask them, well, what didn't you understand, and then I'll fix it, right? Or I'll explain to them what it is, you know. No, no. Yeah, so what we do is the enrollment, we do the one-time fee, and that's just to basically see if you can do the program, right? So it's like you said, like if we spent time together, we do like $200 an hour. We spend time together until you get really good, right? So at the end of the day, we used to see where people would say, hey, a trading program could be. I was in a trading program. I forgot his name, Asian guy, and he charges $25,000. And you go to this building, and it's in Chicago. It's in yeah, yeah. I've been to these. Yeah. Yeah, so that's kind of how I looked at it. Like I was like, I went to these trading courses because I wanted to see what they offered. So I would pay 25 grand and I went and sat in this room and he wasn't even there. What they did was play his videos on the screen and then two people kind of walked me through the videos on a big screen. And I was like, well, I thought I paid 25 grand to talk to the guy. He wasn't even there. So I was like, man, that's crazy. But they were busy. They were sold out, you know? So then I realized like, man, there's a lot of people trying to learn this. And I was like, you don't even get an experience where, and I'm an experienced trader. And at the end of it, I was like, the system that they were doing, I was like, that's not worth 25 grand. It's not even, that's terrible, right? So I realized that, people need interaction, right? So that's why for me, when we start off, it's like the first thing we do is figure out, can you even do this, right? So when you pay 300 bucks, you're getting the indicators. And if you're terrible, they still work for you, but you might not have the capacity to do the higher things like leverage, right? So if you can't operate quickly, then you can't do leverage. And then what you'd end up doing is using indicators to buy spot trading or what they call hodling, right? Which is just buying the low, selling the tops, right? And that's you can make 4,000% more a year just by doing that, right? Now, if you're capable and you can actually learn the system, then we sit down, evaluate you, and say, okay, all right, we can move you to the next part where we will teach you futures trading and how to actually do what we do. And this is where we sit down and say, okay, here's the program that we have, right? So when you're ready, we have boot camps that you go through, and we evaluate you after every boot camp to make sure that you are getting through the process, right? So at the end of the day, the total at the end of it, we have a lifetime, right? So when there's a $5,000 course, when you get to 5,000, you're done. Like you've gone all your boot camps. If you need any more help, we just keep going with you because you're finished at that point, right? Most of the guys they work their way through a couple. Yeah, at that point yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, at that point you can't like, once you get through all that, it's like what we're really talking about is kind of like personal growth, right? I spend a lot of time, the guys who've gone through the whole program is I spend a lot of time trying to keep them from gambling, right? Like guys, when the thing about making money in crypto is that when you start making 50 to 100,000 bucks, you start trading 50 to $100,000, and it gets crazy. And that's more like a personal, when you once you finish the program, we're still going to be talking to each other because you become part of the community, and then we're working on more about personal, aspects of not becoming a gambler, not making dumb decisions, being smart with what you're doing. And I just like that because the whole idea is the community grows, and then those guys become guys inside the Discord who are like, yo, follow the system. Yo, do this. Yeah, yeah. And that's where we are. So, yeah, I mean, that's what we do. So that's what I'm just like, we can do the courses where we used to do the $5,000 courses and guys would sign up and then we'd spend 6 months with them, right? And that we call it a 6 month course. After 6 months, they do very well. But we stay with these guys hanging out forever. They don't go anywhere, right? And then I realized other people who had to, be more into it or responsible for it, they were like, well, I sometimes I trade, sometimes I don't. And I was like, you know what? Eh, Do a $300 intro. We'll get you signed up. And then if you fit the program, then we'll move on. Right. But you have to kind of like, you have to kind of show you gotta help yourself. Right. So that way we can move people through processes and evaluate them. So that way we're also, we would also be where we can see their results, right? Because the problem is people follow the system and make a lot of money, and then they start doing their own adjustments to the system, and then it's kind of gets crazy, right? So what we have is what we call accountability, right? Accountability to the trade. So we have people post their trades and results so that we can keep them accountable for what they're doing, right? So one of the best comments I ever got from one of my students was, "Well, I don't want to post my entries in the academy because sometimes I lose." And I said, "Well, yeah, that's what I want to see, the trade you lose so I can go evaluate that trade and show you what you did wrong. Like, I don't care about your winners. I want to fix your losers. Like, nobody cares about winners. If I want to fix the losers. And he was like, he couldn't understand that. And I was like, bro, you need to be accountable, right? And like, that's why you paid for the course, is so somebody would hold you accountable for your money, right? We're holding you accountable for your trades and what you do, right? And if you're afraid to post the trade, then you probably shouldn't be in the trade, right? I mean, that's how I thought about it. Like, if you're afraid to post the trade that you're doing, then you're not confident in the trade that you're doing, and you probably shouldn't do the trade. That just means you're over trading and you're gambling, right? And then when it that kind of sinks into the people, they're like, that makes sense. Yeah. If you're not following the system, then we're going to call you out because you're not doing yourself a benefit here. And that's what we're here for, is to help you get better, right? So that's kind of why the one-on-ones are important, because that's the only way to hold people accountable to the program, right? So it's kind of like a mentorship, right? And what we find out is that it's pretty cheap, bro. Oh yeah, yeah. If you just take it, yeah, it's life changing. So guys, if you're interested in having a one-on-one discussing whether or not the program's good for you, just VC Crypto Nation, the name of the channel. Just send me a Gmail, vccryptonation@gmail. Send me a Gmail and get yourself set up. It's that simple. Or you can go to makingtradingeasy.com and you can kind of look at everything on there. But what I want to do is like a lot of the times that the importance of the one-on-ones is to get you set up. So someone asked, is it 300 and then 5,000? No, what it is you start off with 300 and we get you set up with the indicators. We figure out if you can use TradingView. We figure out if you can actually comprehend technology. And then once you get to that technology side, we say, okay, you can use TradingView, you understand the technology. Then we kind of move into payment sessions, right? So we have what things are called boot camps. So boot camps are 2 week scenarios where you pay 500 bucks and it's part of your total thing. So the total course is 5,000, but we don't charge you the 5,000 up front. We work you through the process so that way when we hit a snag or something that you aren't good at, we spend more time with you before you move on, right? Because you don't need to get to that $5,000 level to be successful, right? You can be in the lower levels and make money and then use profits to pay your course, right? The ideal is for you to make money and then when you're done making money, say, yo, VC, here's that money, man. Appreciate you, right? So we use boot camps to move you up so that we're having one-on-one interactions. So I actually know that you're doing something. I actually know that you're making money, right? Because the whole point is my system is based on this. I want people in the next 6 months to be posting about the system saying, I took his course, I made 100K, right? That's what I want. I want people posting my stuff saying, hey, here's a referral link. I'm a student. It makes money. And then when people come in, I want the students helping the new people stay accountable in the system, right? So this way you guys can get paid off referrals and also you're referring something that you use and it works and you know it's good, right? So that's where I'm putting my process out there to saying here's my entire thing. For $300, I want you to prove to me that the shit don't work. That's what I'm looking for. Like that's my entire thing. You're gonna see, like we're gonna start marketing this. Prove to me that the VC Crypto Nation, prove to me that Crypto Nation don't work. Prove to me that the Academy don't work, right? And that's kind of what it is. That's what it is. Are you sure you get this person? Yeah. Am I sure? Yeah. So let me see if there's any people in Discord in there. So if you're in the Discord, guys, uh, point out if you get one-on-ones. So just kind of like you understand, I'm gonna take you to the Discord right here and kind of show you what we have. And I wish I could find there more. There we go. All right, I'm gonna flip the camera here and I'm gonna go into the Discord, right? And this is where everything that we do, we're kind of in here. So you'll see the guys digging in here and different people. But what we're doing here is we're going to be moving this into let's see here. Bill's been around for a while. All right, so here's the Discord, right? Now, when you enter the Discord, you have different sections here, right? And we have what's called the Academy, right? You click on the Academy, and here's what it is. Now, there's a guy inside of here that is actually inside the live right now. Young, you still in here, Young? Oh, so JL Wolf. So Jeffrey, right? Jeffrey's inside the Academy. So do we do one-on-one, bro? Do we talk? Um, so here's a guy that's actually in the Academy. Um, he's inside the chat here, but he's actually trading right now. So it's kind of like a bonus to that. Let me see if I can get these effects off here. Let me clear that up. Okay, there we go. There we go. All right, so this is how simple it is, right? So here it says at VC, this happened at 3:45. He said, yo, half profits already taken at 30% gains, right? So all we teach is profit. So he knows now. Young is a young trader. I think he's about 24 years old, young guy. And Jeremy, you in here, bro? And you can see here he did his 32%, which is what we teach. He made his $117, right? His goal is to do 10 of those trades and take the same profits. So he'll make his $1,000, right? But he's taking his profits in. So that's pretty nice there. If you have a $500 bag, you do 32%, you make $100, right? Very simple to do. Take profits, right? Boom. Yeah, simple. He's going to do 10 of those trades this week and he's going to take in, he's going to take in his $1,000 for the week, but he's using a $500 bag, right? So you see right here how he says APT has a 1 hour green moon. That's called an alert, right? So that means that let's say if I'm trading right now and I look at APT, he's telling me there's a 1 hour green moon and a 15-minute green trend, right? So if we go to our trading view, I'll show you guys the indicators that we use, right? So I pull this up. I'm going to go to APT. So as a total group, APT, we go in there and I'm going to look at that alert, right? So as students, we all have the same indicators. We have all the same stuff. So here I take a look at APT. So now the first thing I'm going to do is go to my 1 hour. Click on my 1 hour. Now, the alerts that we're looking for are right here. You see that 1 hour moon right there? So there's this indicator right here. You see that 1 hour moon? That's called the moon, right? And I'll open that up. So that's a 1 hour value moon. Now, at this point here, you can see where it's green. Now, what we do is we know that that's going to create a positive move, right? You see this? See that move right there? So by getting that alert, staying on top of those alerts, we would already have a position here that you see right here how we're up 2%? See that 2.75? So let's say you're doing a 50x leverage, right? So, or a 20x, whatever. So we average 75%. So for us, 75x on this or 50%, this means that we have 125% gains already on this one position. And it's not done. That's just the beginning of the trade that we're looking at, right? So it's kind of like it's just an alert to tell you where to look. So now we got that position set up and we know that this trade is going to have a move, right? So the very first thing we know is when a moon happens, we have a position to the top. It's going to have some type of pause or pullback because the next thing that we need is what we call a trend, which is this line right here. So you see how this behind my candles, this big red area, you see this green area here? This red area means that we're still in a downward movement or consolidation, right? So when that turns to green, that's when we'll have our second big move here, right? And we can track this on the 1 hour. So here's a moon alert, right? These alerts come via email. So, and they're also inside the Discord, right? So if I right click here, I can see how it says add alert to VC Crypto Nation. So these are our indicators, right, that we have. So we click on that and I can add a moon alert on right to my email, and then or right to my TikTok as well to my trading view, and it'll let me know when the trend or the moon comes, right? So when this alert happens, I know that I have a trade. And that means this trade is going to make a positive move, right? So that's just a very simple alert. It's not that hard to use. So let me kind of show you this entire trade based off of what we call our trends, right? So this is how easy it is, right? So you can see the green and the red, right? You see the red, you see the green, right? See that? So if you're, let's say you're an average, somebody who comes in, never traded in your life. Let me show you how. This is APT, right? Let me show you how easy it is to trade APT. So you see, do you see how that right there turns from red to green? You see that right there? Hit the ones in the chat if you guys see that. See right there? What that means is you're buying, right? So if you bought that scenario where it turned green, right? Let's say you do a spot trade, nothing special, just practicing. I'm going to give you the worst entry way up here, right? And then when it made its move to the top, we got a red trend, as you can see over here. This is the first, this is, you see this line is green, you hold it, you get a red line and red backing. There you go. So let me move this position up to that sell zone, which would be somewhere in here, right? So we'll lower it even lower, it doesn't matter. Now this one trade is worth 14%. So even if you were just doing a spot trade, right, or a small trade, which is like a 10x, you just made 140% on APT. Simple. Now, when it comes back over, you can see here the trend goes red and then it goes green again, right? And it turns green again. So now you're in another trade here. This is the green trade. And this trade right here went for, let's say that turned green, you got in way up here, let's say a bad position, spot trading or whatever, and you're holding until it goes red again, which is right here. You did another 5%, right? And if you're shorting a coin, obviously you go the other direction. You can see here that we're short here red, and this position goes until it goes green. And you can see here from this, you did another 5%. So you're getting 5% moves. So if you're doing a 10x, you're making 50% every time these indicators make its move. So in a span of, let's say this was December 21st to the 2nd of January. So in a week, you could have did 15, 20, 30, 40, 55, 60. I mean, you could have done literally 100% in a week just on your APTs with very low leverage, right? So basically hodling, right? If you're a trader, what we teach is what we call leverage, which is on these percentages, we use a 30 to 50 to 75x leverage. And those leverages will give you 75 times that, right? So let's just say 50. Let's cut it down in the middle. So that 5% move there is actually worth 250% just on one trade. So for us, we have a 250, 250. I mean, we're working in, we're doing probably about 600 to 700% just on this first week here. So you can 700% your bag in a week without really any risk there. And that's kind of what we see. All right. Now here's another thing right here. So you see here, this protects your profits. You see here on the 1 hour, you see that red trend right there? That you would have got a signal to sell your APT right here on the 1 hour, and you would have avoided this huge dump that just happened, right? So that's what the indicators do for you. They protect your profits and also help you get in. Now, what he's doing here is he's playing the role of the entry, right? Which is a little bit early here because we don't have a trend yet, but he's giving us an alert that there's a 1 hour moon, which means that we start to prepare for an entry on APT, which will put us somewhere, I'd say an entry probably in this zone here. Let me move that down. So I'd be looking for an entry somewhere off of this area on APT, and then I would expect it to, take its move to the top side. So that's where I would set my entry and start looking for an entry, right? And that's part of the course is teaching you where to get your entry. So 885 is probably a good entry for APT here and move forward. But that's how simple the indicators are, and that's why when you join the course, if you can't follow red and green, then it's not really cut out for you, right? This is a very simple process. I mean, so does that look hard in any way? Like, what do you think, bro? Does that look hard? pretty basic on there. What do you think made easy? So it's kind of like the basics on there. So this is yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the indicators that we've worked on these indicators for about 2 years. So what we did is we did multiple combinations of a ton of indicators. So I used to trade with about 7 different, confirmations, and then I took all the ways they confirm, and I was like, you know what? The only thing that matters is money, price action, and value. So now we do very short trades to capitalize on volume and price action, and then we just take our profits and leave. So for instance, we know that this indicator here is going to bring a profit margin somewhere wherever it triggered. It's going to have about a 3 to 5% move. So somewhere in here is where this coin is going to end up going today, right? Now, in this section here, we don't need 5%. We need a 1% move at a 50x to make 50% profits. So we have all this space here to decide to make a trade in order to make the money that we want to make. So now we have 5% that we can make money in, but we only need to make it in a 1% area. So we can wait for confirmations that things are starting to happen. And when those things start to happen, we jump in on the ride and we take our profits in the middle of the move, which basically lowers all our risk and guarantees us the profits that we're looking for without risk, right? So a lot of guys here, let's say a basic trader, he's got to find the perfect entry. He's got to hope that that's the best entry. He's got to hope that it doesn't go down further and then go up. And he might be stuck in that trade for, 4 or 5 hours to maybe 2 days, right? For us, we let all this nonsense go to whatever it's doing. And the minute that we get a green trend, then we know that we're hopping in, and what we're doing is we're catching the pump, right? But we don't even need the whole pump. We need literally 20% of the pump to get our 50% gains, and then we can move on, right? That's the way to make money in these moves, because you can't predict how high it's going to go and you can't say when it's going to get there. But what we can do, yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and if you got stuck in a trade, that means that you don't understand volume, and basically we have a video called "Volume is King," right? Volume is king because volume makes it move. If no one's buying the coin, then volume it's not going to move. That's the bottom line. If there's no money, if there's no price action, nothing moves, right? So here's Solana, right? So let's take a look at Solana on the 1 hour, so you guys can kind of get a look at what we were looking at here. So you can see we have our buy signal down here on Solana at $70, right? That entire push went up and Solana ran through. We had a green trend. Here we had a sell at 96. We had a rebuy at 93. So there was a little indecision. That pump came all the way up to 120, right? You see that right there? See that red trend right there? So we got a sell sign at $119. And then we had another buy at 109, and we got another sell at 110. So there's sometimes in there in that little section where you kind of break even on that side, but then you have this entire movement that gives you another downward move. Solana, you could have got back in at your, you're kind of playing your rhythms, right? And this is what we talk about on your 10 trades. We don't need a lot of this move to happen, right? So for instance, let's take a look at this Solana move, right? So Solana comes in, you get your green trend right here, you get an entry, right? Doesn't have to move that much for us to make money. So we jump in here, up here, we take, that's a 2% move. You see that? Which means if we were doing a 50x, we did 125%. So we're done with this trade before it even goes the other direction. So while people are here holding this coin, going down, going up, going down, we're snagging let's say we shorted this coin, right? So let's say we shorted Solana up there. That Solana short would have gave us 8% at a 50x. So that's 400% on the short. And then we snagged another 100% on a bounce. And then here we are red again. And what happens in the red? Look at that. Our red all the way down, right? All the way to here. Here we pick up another, I mean, even if I cut it down to 30% of what it was, it's 5%, right? Which is at the end of the day, another 250%. So we're just snagging these profits as this coin makes its move, right? And you want to use higher time frames because it has more volume and more pressure, so they're guaranteed to have better moves in there, right? That's kind of like how easy it is to follow the red and green. So when you have the system down, right, you see this, it's a simplicity, right? Your trends and your moons, right? Here's your moon telling you there's a trade coming, right? See the green moon right there? There's a green moon right here. Tells you there's a trade coming. You wait for a trend. The red moon comes in, lets you know that volume is slowing down. Then you get another green moon saying that, okay, you're starting to pick up again. You move along, and then boom, your trend hits right there. You're in your trade. Now, so here you are in a Solana trade right here again, green section. And now you're just riding it until you get a red moon. See the red moon right there? So this red moon pops up, right? You get an alert because you have an alert set to your email when that red moon shows up. And that red moon triggers before it pops up on your chart, it'll send you an alert telling you that it's happening. And if you get multiple alerts in a row, then you just say, okay, I need to get out of my trade. So what would happen is you would be in this trade down here and you would get an alert to sell that trade up in here, and that's 11% move. So if you only did a 20x, right, that's a 200% move. We do 50 to 75. So for us, this is a 500% trade right here. We didn't do anything special there, did we? Is there anything hard about that? Pretty simple, right? You can use the 15 minute. Yeah, what do you think, bro? Oh yeah, yeah. That we here's the 1 hour moon, right? So for us, this the kind of like the system is real simple, right? That we have the indicator is called the 1 hour moon, right? It's on the 1 hour time frame. When we get a 1 hour red moon, that means volume is gone. So it alerts us 1 hour before, right? So we already are ahead of the game and we just get out. Now, does it pull down and then go back into a green moon where we re-enter? Yeah. But every time you don't take that risk, right? You don't want to be sitting in a possibility of a downward play because you never know when they're going to sell. So you're just protecting your profits by playing the structure correctly, right? I don't need to know if this is a bull pennant. I don't need to know if that's a doji candle. I don't need to know if that's a hammer. I don't need to know any of that shit. All I need to know is there's no volume in this coin and there's no money, which means what? It's not going up. That's what it's all about. So once we make that move right there, we protect ourselves. And this particular time, if we're shorting the coin, right, which you can see here, we could get a red trend in here. We would have got a short right here on the red double trend, and we would have took a position here for this short. So right now, we could have made money. On our Discord, we short as well. Here's another 11% down, and that would have been another 500% move, right? So just these are just basic. These are normal trades, right? So when you go to the Discord, you see the guys in here, their job is to take their 30 to 50%, but guys are doing 328% on trades, and they're very confident in the trade they're doing because they already have it set up. Here, 50% leverage. Look at that, 600%, right? Because what they're doing is they're watching their trends, right? So it's a very simple setup here. So this is where we get in here. We share the alerts. We stay, working with each other. We have alerts and call outs. Here, like this. So Alf right here. So this is my developer, right? It's one of my developers, right? So this is my indicator guys that make sure they're always up to date. So he's testing. These are our new alerts. So this is a new alert system that we have for our indicators. He's testing it right now. Do you think it's working? It's working very well, right? Now we don't teach like the funny thing is we don't talk about making 800, 900%. We tell people to take 30 to 50, right? Because we have a structure and a system that the very first thing before you can start thinking about letting trades go longer is the very first thing you need to learn how to do is take profits. Because if you don't know how to take profits, then you're never going to make money, right? That's really the key. So that's where, you have to kind of like put yourself in the driver's seat and be aware of what you're doing, focus on things that you're doing, and be accountable for what you want. So for us, it's all about teaching guys to, know that, they're done at the buffet before they get full. You know what I mean? But that's kind of like the reality to what we have is just teaching people to do the basics of being accountable for their profits, teaching them that they, things don't go forever, and the indicators just help people decide when it's ending. It's very easy. You can look at Solana and you can say, okay, when do I sell my Solana? All right, there's a 1 hour red moon. What does that mean? You should sell your Solana. That's simple. You get an alert, red moon, right? And the alerts come over here, right? So our alerts are set up over here. So when you look at an alert, you'll see the alerts, right? So when the alerts pop off, they come in multiple. So here's a 1 hour fetch short, a 1 hour fetch short, a 1 hour fetch. If I get two of those in a row and these are coming to my email, so I'm seeing my Gmail hit, then I go say, all right, I need to get out of this trade because I got 4, 5, 6, 7. Look at those, right? Those tons of those trades came in at that time, right? So this alert was set January 2nd at 1 o'clock. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. So for me, it's like when I'm looking at the chart, the reason why it says MEXC is because I'm using MEXC as my platform, right? Because I want the price to be the same as that what I'm seeing in my futures. So if you were using Binance, right, and it all depends on where the coin is. So this coin right here is actually on Binance too. So what you would do is you would pick your Solana uh, perpetual contract, but you would pick Binance because you're using Binance as your trading platform. I use MEXC. You can use Bitgate, Bean, whatever you have, as long as your coin's on there. Just make sure you pick the right futures contract, right? You don't want to be on MEXC if you're trading on Binance because they have different prices. That's what a lot of people don't realize. They'll look at a price and go, "Hey, I'm looking at a coin and mine says $1.50, but your coin says $1.37." Well, you're on Binance, I'm on MEXC. When you're dealing with perpetual contracts, the coins have different prices, right? Because their systems are evaluating them different. So that's another thing you have to do is you got to make sure when you're trading on the right, you're looking at the right platform that you're actually looking at. So if you're trading on MEXC, then you want to look at the MEXC chart. If you're trading on Binance, then you want to look at the Binance chart for Solana. If you're trading, let's say you're not trading any futures, right? Then you wouldn't look at futures. You would actually go down to MEXC and you would look at what's called the spot trading, which would be the basic trading, right? And you'd go find that contract because that price is different. So a lot of times guys don't even know that they might be looking at a chart. So how you tell futures, right? Okay, so the reason why all mine are futures is because you see up here, you see how I have Solana, but I have a .p at the end, right? So when you put Sol USDT and you put in .p at the end, that means I only want to see perpetual futures. It means I only want to see it when I'm doing futures. Now, if I remove that PT, that .p, now I have Solana on Tether. You see that? That's spot trading. You see? Spot trading. The spot trading price is different. Okay? So let's take a look here. So here's Solana. The price for Solana is 98.95, right? But if I this is in futures. If I remove that and I go to the same network, all right, sometimes these prices will be different. Here's 98.94, right? So now let's go to Solana and let's pick Binance. See how they're 98.91, 98.93. So the prices are different on different exchanges. So you just want to make sure if you're doing futures, make sure you put a .p there and then go to your exchange that you're trading on and make sure you pick the futures one because that's a different price, right? That's a different price in there. So that's how sometimes you guys as your prices are messed up there. But we teach you all that, man. We teach all that in there, man. So it's a very simple thing. So guys, if you want to understand or ask questions about the program or the indicators, just send me a Gmail, right? It's just vccryptonation@gmail. Send me a Gmail. If you're in the US, include your contact information. And we do one-on-ones before we even sign you up, just to kind of like how long you've been trading, what kind of help you're going to need. Are you going to need signing up wallets? Are you going to need more one-on-ones? And we really work through all the basics. But the system itself is super easy to use. The Discord, you're in an academy. So all these guys that are in here are using the same system. So when you see somebody talking about a trade, it's a trade that you would be seeing in your academy, right? So we have a thing here called the 1 hour crew, right? So inside here, you see all the guys here. Here, Blizz, 1 hour green moon, big time, 1 hour green moon. What is it? These all these indicators pop up, and these are people that are trading, and what they're doing is they're pushing the 1 hour green moons, right? So then you can go look at that coin. So whether you not, if you don't know a coin or whatever, these guys are telling you about trades they're looking at. So here's BLZ. So he posted this 9:45 a.m., right? So if we go to BLZ, let's go to BLZ real quick. BLZ. Now I might not even trade a coin that's called BLZ because I might be new and I go, okay, well, what is it? Now it's I go to MEXC and we can see what did he put. So let's go look at what he has so you guys can understand how this works. So today at 9:45 my time, he put BLZ 1 hour green moon. You guys see that? See? So today horse at 9:45 a.m. BLZ 1 hour green moon, right? Okay. Hey Moser, Josh is a great young and trader. If you so when we talk about the course, he can tell you Josh came in and took 300 bucks, turned it into 3,000. Then he got too crazy and he went back to 600 bucks. Then turned 600 into 2,000. Then started going away from the system, right? So it's kind of like, you get too you when you make too much money, you start doing stupid trades. And it takes time to learn. So the graduation comes when, hey, send me an email. Graduation comes when you figure out how to keep doing the system and not jumping the system or playing emotions or doing things that are against what the system is. The indicators are designed to help you out. All right, so quick peek. BLZ 1 hour green moon 9:45 a.m. Right, so let's go to BLZ. Now I'm going to go here and I'm going to drop this down to the 5 minute mark, and I want to go to what's called nine. I think it was 9:45 in the morning, right? So let me go to 9:45. So you can see down here, that's my time frame, right? So this morning, right, at 9:45, which is right here, I'm going to mark this here with a trend, and I'm going to make it big so that way we can come back. So this is 9:40 right there. See that? 9:40, right? That's the time in the morning. So now let me go to my 1 hour because he posted a 1 hour move, right? So go to my 1 hour, and now you guys see right here. You see that? See that 1 hour moon right there? You guys see that 1 hour moon right there? See that? That's called a 1 hour moon. He posted that 1 hour moon, 9:45. Now he was a little bit late on it, but he saw it. Right here is nine. Here's the time that we actually seen this section, right? So now let's see what happens in that trade, right? So now you can see here we have a. Now that's actually the second move, right? Okay, so you see this right here, money. Okay, so Mad Money. You see this? See this green moon right here? If you're tracking this coin, you get this first alert. Then you get the trend. You see the trend right there? Now, as that trend moves, you get a red moon, right? So you would see this movement here, and you would enter your trade. As you move along, you get a red moon, you get out of your trade. The next green moon, you re enter, which is right here, right? So this trade actually did, if you were tracking this trade, you get that green moon, you enter here. And this trade did a first pump of 14%. So if you're doing I mean, just at 20x here, you did a 280% gain in an hour, right? Mhm, mhm. Yeah, so here's your 1 hour. Mhm. So yeah. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Okay, so here's what you would do, right? Yeah, so you got to remember everything's set on the 1 hour, right? So here's your 1 hour alerts. So let's say you're tracking a coin. All you do is you're putting an alert on your green moon, right? When that 1 hour green moon comes along, right? So for instance, here's a one. Let's just mark the 1 hour green moons, right? So here's a 1 hour green moon. Here's another 1 hour green moon. Here's another 1 hour green moon. And obviously we have that 1 hour green moon, right? So let's say you get this alert on your 1 hour green moon, right? You slide, and this is, I'm going to walk you through the part of the strategy, right? You slide down to your 4 hour. All right. You see your 4 hour RSI, and I'm going to mark them here. So this is the first 1 hour green moon. This is the second 1 hour green moon. This is the third hour green moon. And this is the final hour one, right? So you see all these things, right? So kind of what you were saying, right? Peaks and valleys. So when you get the alert on your moon, you would go look at your RSI. And you notice here that the 4 hour pulled down, it's starting to head up, right? Now, what we teach is you have to have volume inside of everything, right? So when this RSI is moving to the top side, we haven't fully got our trends that we need to get in there. And just so you understand, like when you go back to the 1 hour, okay, so what we're going to mark here is the trend, right? So that's where the volume is, where you're learning volume, right? So I won't go too deep into it, but what you have to understand is when you start to find these positions, what you're looking at is the volume side, right? So I'm going to mark this trend here, and I'm going to turn this one red, orange, red. We'll do red. No, we'll do orange on there. I'll make it white. We'll make it white on there. So here's your trend. Here's your trend, right? And then here's your trend, right? So these are the 1 hour trends inside here. So you get a 1 hour moon alert, right? You go and take a look, and what you're looking for is trends to be set up there. So here's your first 1 hour trend right here. You see the trend alert right there? As you move along, you get a 1 hour moon, right? So now you know that there's a trend. Now you have a moon, and now you know that inside this section, you're going to start building your peaks and valleys, right? So when you see this trend happen and you wait for the moon to happen, right, that's to let you know that now you can look at your RSI. RSI starts to move up, means that you can start accumulating your coin in this section. The RSI comes down, right? You got another green moon, and now it's basically letting you know it's building momentum. You're buying at this another peak and valley, right? Then you get a push up. You're waiting. You wait for the pullback, and then right there you can see that you have a red trend right here. So it lets you know that there's going to be a pullback as well. So you ride the RSI down. You get your green trend back again. You let the RSI get to your bottom. Now you have your green moon again. Now you're buying again, but this time you know you can have confidence that you can buy a little bit heavier because you have the RSI at the bottom, plus you have the trend and the moon hitting at that time. And this allows you to buy into the upward tick of this, right? So now you're buying it in. It gets up to here. You can see you get another little pullback, and but you're buying this whole ride here, and then you hit that pump, boom, right? So this will help you find those pumps before they happen. See what I'm saying? What it confirms for you is that when you're watching the RSI move, so here, let me explain the RSI, right? So the RSI kind of works like this. An RSI is just what we call sentiment, right? It doesn't mean that it's going to buy or sell. What it means is what people are doing with it, right? Just because the sentiment of an RSI is moving up, meaning there's people buying that, it doesn't tell you how much they're buying. So if it doesn't have that it's buying a lot, then it doesn't make the needle move, right? So the RSI can be moving up and the price can be going down, right, in a divergence. That's because the people that are buying, there might be 1,000 people buying, but there might be 100 people selling more than people are buying, which would cause the price to go different. So this is why we have this indicator here. This is the money indicator with the moon. This is price action with money, right? And you see, notice here how the yellow, see the yellow lines here? See, they kind of act like RSIs. The difference is when this money is going down, right? You see how the RSI here is going up and the money line is coming down before it? This is the money that's coming in. So what you would be doing here is you'd be watching your money line and you would be buying the dips of the money line, and then you would be, when it starts to head back down, you would stop buying, right? And you let it bounce up, you start buying again here, because this is price action. You buy your price action, it starts to go down, you wait, and you see here the RSI is still kind of going up there, even though, see how the money's going down here, but the RSI is still going up there? See that? The RSI is going up, but the money is going down, right? That lets us know we're ahead of the relative strength index, the RSI, because we already know the money is going down. So we stop buying, the money comes all the way down, and then the money, see how the money starts to go up here? Then you start buying your peak, gets to this point, starts to come back down, and then right here when it starts to go up, you're buying again. Now notice here, you see the RSI here? The RSI is still going up even though the money's going down, you see? So you're buying into the dip, but the price action here tells you there's no money. So you would stop buying, and on this next move up, you would start buying there. You see? So the RSI is kind of like a good tool to have for sentiment, but it's not a good tool for buying because a lot of times it can be 30% of the time it could be going a direction that's divergence to the actual price. So it could cost you 10, 15, 20% if you don't have the price action money right here. You don't have these lines right here. This is the price action. These are the lines that you want to buy and sell with. So when you talk about peaks and valleys, this is the peak and valleys you want to buy. You see what I'm saying? See the difference? Like these are the money. Doesn't matter what the people are doing, it matters what the money's doing. Once that money goes down and starts to head up, now you're rebuying in this area, and now you start to see that push. And don't forget, you're also getting alerts. Right? You could put an alert on the 4 hour moon and the 1 hour moons. When the moons are there, that means there's higher price action. So if you're getting an alert on a 4 hour moon and you see the price going down and you start getting alert that there's a 4 hour moon coming, you can start ramping up because that's going to give you a pump. Anytime it's a higher time frame, anytime there's a moon on a higher time frame, it's a 5 to 15% move. So if you're getting a 4 hour alert and you see this money coming down, you know that this is where you want to buy because you're buying the 4 hour moon. So you start buying here and then boom, you get this nice pump that happens on the higher time frame and you walk away with 10 to 14% gains on that bad boy with a 10x. You made 140% just buying into that. How much? Yes. How much time does it take to do that? Yes. Exactly. That's where we wanted to kind of like, so what people don't understand is like we went through all the indicators, we adjusted them, we set settings, and we targeted the money, right? So just like, I think that's the best thing I've ever. So a lot of guys don't know how you have to look at the orders, find the candle, judge the percentages, then go with the order books, and that's kind of like regular trading. It takes a lot of time to get there, right? And these indicators, the beauty of these indicators is that if all you have to do, so everything that you just did there that takes you hours to do, the only thing that you need to do there is basically for you is you just need to set an alert on a 4 hour moon, right? And when you get that alert on your 4 hour moon and you go evaluate your trade, you can see where the volume is, right? So for instance, you see this 4 hour moon here, right? 4 hour moon hits, the RSI is at the top. The very simple thing would be like, okay, I need to watch this trade. I need to let my RSI play out one more time, right? Which would simply be a 4 hour moon. You'd go for one more red moon, and then you would get the alert for the next green moon, and then you'd be entering this trade, right? That's the beauty of the alerts because you can set it up. So the way you trade, a 4 hour time frame is what you're doing all the work on, right? So all you would have to do, and I'll show you like how easy this is, right? Okay, so it's kind of stupid, every time we look at it, right? So here you go. So let's go back over here. So let's say you have your alert set for your 4 hour moons, right? So this coin's in a downward movement, downward trend, right? So you're sitting there and you're like, all right, boom, boom, boom. Here's your green moon comes in your downward trend. You get your red moon. And what you're doing is you're working your volume and your trends, right? So inside of here, the 1 hours and the 4 hours are going to tell you what you're looking at, right? So as these moons start to come out, you can see the volume going down, struggling on the moon. Now, this green moon here, right? Getting a green moon, you would have been alerted in here. This is an like most people don't realize, but this is a 8% move on this second 4 hour moon, right? So the 4 hour red moon came in, there's the dump. The 4 hour green moon comes in, right? There's your push. You get your next red moon, there's your downward, and then this is the one you take your entry on, right? There's another solid 8% move, right? Now, if you're shorting, you're after that move, you get another red moon, and I mean, you can, if you know how to do both, you can really clean up on this. It's 15% on that reversal, right? So now you're in the same scenario. You get a green moon, you need a moon reset, right? Moon reset comes, moon, red moon, and then we get another green moon, right? See that green moon? What happens there? You get your green moon in there. Let's say you take a terrible, you're entering on the top side. That move again is here's another 10%. So all the work that you're doing is just basically allowing the moon to come in, the moon to reset, and then get that next confirmation of the next moon. Because all it is that's telling you the volume is accumulating. Once that volume comes in, you take advantage of that move and you move on. And what happens from there? You get a red moon, pull back. Here comes your green moon again. There's your second move. Like that simple. Because the moons are telling you what you're doing, or you're evaluating volume, price action, everything that you're doing. Like that is how easy that's what the moons do. Right? That's just one part of the entire thing. That's just one part of the indicators. It just tells you what the volume that you're looking for. So the way you think of trading, the moons actually solve that for you, right? Now, if you want to get to the point where you're like, making it even better, there's ways to pick certain entries to get more positive. So for instance, for us, it goes like this. We like to trade when we have a moon, a trend, and positive volume, right? So you see how that volume's going positive? We like to trade that trade, right? So that's why we're always catching those in there. So once we get a moon and we can see the RSIs at the bottom, we take those lunges, right? So for instance, this moon right here, right? See where your RSI is at the top? So we would not take that moon. We would pass on this moon because the 4 hour RSI is at the top. So we let the RSI reset, right? come down. And what we're waiting for is we're waiting for what's called a reset, right? Which is the RSI to come down to the bottom and then start to come back up. It needs to break the 50, right? It needs to get below the 50 and bounce somewhere off the 20 line, and then we would be looking for an entry, right? And that's kind of where the money is, right? So you see that money line? So this moon comes in, you would let the RSI reset, which is the money line. You see how it comes down here and starts to head up right there? You would start entering right here on this money line. That would put you in this trade here. And then you would end up in this trend up. You would catch this trade here, which is about 6%. So it's a very simple process. You really can't, if you're just following the basics, right? What's the basics? The basics are get an alert. So this is called a trade. The second thing is once you get a trade, you need what's called validation. Validation is the RSI goes down and then starts to see movement into the next move, right? Which is how it works is moon, trend, volume, right? So moon is the trade. Validation is the price line starting to head towards a trend, which is right here, you see? Okay, so moon lets you know there's a trade. Price action starts to move up. You see that trend line right there turn green? See that right there? See it right there? Yeah, and this is how easy. So moon lets you know there's a trade coming. So you sit there and then you set an alert for your trend. Your trend alerts you right here. So now your moon, right? This is the trade, the moon trade. The trend is the validation that the trade is happening. And then all you do is look at your RSI, right? And you can see that the RSI is bending up and the money is heading up. You see that? Yeah. So yeah, here's the steps, right? The steps are this easy. Green moon alert. You get an alert. You go look. You set an alert on the trend. And the trend hits you with an alert. You go look and you still have a green moon. And then you're like, okay, here's my trade. Here's my validation. What do I need to happen? I need the RSI to be down from the top, heading up. And I need the money line heading up. So then you look and you go, well, I got my trend. Perfect. The RSI is bending up and the money line is bending up. Here's my entry. That's simple, right? So moon, trend, right? Moon, validation, RSIs and money heading up. Here's your entry. Boom. You do a 20x on there, you just made 200% on there. That's the trade. That's literally the trade. So it goes moon, trend, volume, right? So moon, trend, and the volume is right here pushing up. That's the trade, right? Let's walk through it again. So let that go through, and then you're like, all right, let me get my next trade. What do we look for? Moon, right? Here's your moon. Second thing is you need a trend. Notice that the trend already happened. So moon and trend, right? Moon, validation is the trend. So here's your moon, it hits. Tells you there's an entry on this candle. You look for the trend, it already happened. You look at your RSI. Where's your RSI? See how it's coming up from the bottom? Where's your money line? See how it's headed up? So boom, moon, trend, RSI, price action up. There's your trade. You get in this trade. Here you go. You do another 10%. So if you're doing a 10x or a 20x, you just did 200% twice. You just made 400% on this coin from the 19th to the 22nd. So within 3 days, you just made 400%. Is that hard? Yeah. Yeah, exactly, bro. That's why I try to tell people like, yo, the hardest thing for people to do is just remove the emotions and follow the indicator, right? Because what happens is people get really good and then they'll see these indicators and they'll go, you see how the price action here is starting to bend up here, right? Now, it doesn't guarantee that it's going to go up. It might not get a green moon. It could reject and then keep going down. And what people do is they start to think that they can outguess the indicator, and before it turns green, right, or it flashes, right, you want it to have two alerts. You want one alert to tell you it's coming, but you want the second alert to come in. You want them within like 5 to 10 minutes, right? You want to see that it's building momentum. So they will see a flash and then be like, oh, I'm getting in this. Or they'll buy right here when it bends up. 50% of the time, they're right. The other 50% of the time, they hit their stop loss because they want to take a risk where you don't need to take a risk. All you need to do is let that indicator actually fulfill its job and then put you on the next candle, right? So once the indicator gets an alert here, it shows up here, you enter on this next candle because it's validated. I mean, you're still doing 14%, right? Minimum is 7. So what's wrong with taking 140%? Why are you trying to um, why are you why are you the see that's where people make the mistake. They're trying to get an extra 50% and they cost themselves 50%, right? When if you just follow the system and the structure, you get your 140%, your or 300 or 400. What was the point of pushing the envelope, right? And that's the one thing that the personal one-on-ones really help because at the end of the day, people need that because they need to be, they need to go over their mistakes, you know what I mean? And that's the mistake they make. Yeah, I mean that's the basics. So guys, if you're looking to get in, if you have any questions about how to get in the academy, just send name of the page, vccryptonation at gmail, vccryptonation at gmail.com. Send over an email, send over your cell phone number. We'll call you after the live and go over like basic trading. But it's really this easy, guys. It's not that hard. But that's the trade you learn. You learn what's called a moon, a trend, and volume. That's it. Moon, trend, volume. That's all it takes. That's pretty much it. So what coin were you looking at? Yeah. What's GRT? Is it GRT? Is that the one you're talking about? Are you talking about graph? Oh, look at that nastiness. Is that the one GRT? What happens if you're not in the US? All right, so if a user, if you're not in the US, when you send me a Gmail, we'll go into the Discord. So guys, if you're not in the US, just type in there not in the US. You're going to go into a Discord. When you go into the Discord, we're going to a live chat room, right? Inside the live chat room is where we talk to everybody, right? So you can go here and then what we do inside the live chat is we just validate who you are. We go over everything and we have a conversation. So right here you can see I'm in a live chat room and now anybody in the Discord can come in there and talk, right? So you could go here, and this is where we would go over talking about the indicators, what you've done in trading, how much help you actually need, and kind of like walk you through everything that you need to do. So it's kind of like a very simple thing that we can do in there. Let's see. But if you're in the US, I like to just talk to you on the phone. It's very simple, cover some basics, and kind of like knock it out real quick. We got Alpha Chat, Signals. Where is Academy? Drop that down. Academy Chat. Okay. So this is where we all communicate. You can talk inside there. So that's what happens, guys. So if you're inside outside of the US, guys, just take a peek there, right? So let's take a look at GRT. So GRT is still in its downward movement. You still have a red moon there. So you need to catch a green moon, and that would give you the next entry. Now the thing about GRT is you have a green trend. So the next time you get a moon, it's going to have a moon and a trend already. So that would be an entry to get into. Plus your RSI is already at the bottom, right? So you're kind of setting yourself up with GRT. Looks like a really nice trade here. Green moon coming in. That's all you need is an alert on there. Set that alert to that, and that'll pick it up. So let's go. Let me remove some of these. Yeah. Yeah, no, so for us, like all I do here is I would go put in an alert and put 4 hour moon, right? And what that's going to do for me here is put a 4 hour moon alert. I'm going to put it once per minute. And every time that line crosses or starts to cross, I'll get notification, right? So now I don't need to worry about GRT until I get an alert over here, which will go to my email. And that's going to basically turn around and get me to where um, I'll know to come back and look at that. Now, if I want an earlier, alert, I go to my 1 hour, right? So you can see here we have our 1 hour moon. So that's a good tell sign there. You're beginning of a 1 hour moon. You need a trend, right? So you need a moon, you need volume, you need a trade, right? So the first moon comes in. Here's your red moon, obviously selling GRT at 21 cents. Had its big dump. It's still in a red trend here, right? So we still have a downward motion here, right? So the first moon just lets us know that it's starting to consolidate, basically what that is. So here's our first moon. So what we need here is one more red moon, and then when it goes back to the green moon, that's where we'll have our entry. So we're looking for a pullback here, probably an 18-cent mark. From there, wherever that is, we'll look for a bounce, but that'll be the next green moon. So that'll be something somewhere in this range here. All right, so that's how we know that we still have a pullback that's going to happen. Then we'll get an entry point, and this will be, and you see like we have our volume profile here, right? So for us, entry points are probably pretty heavy on the 18-cent area, say about 1778. Yeah, so about 1778 would be what we'd be looking for. And then for us, all I would do is basically set an alert on my 4 hour moon, or I can set an alert here on my 1 hour moon. And then when I get a red moon, then I know that I can come back and reevaluate my entries. And I can say, oh, it's going even lower. Maybe I'm going down here. But then as soon as I get a green moon, I know that I'm in the upward trend right there. So it kind of like eliminates all the work that you got to put into like looking around, and it's good confirmation that what you're doing is happening, right? So it just allows you to be in a position where it's like, okay, what I think is happening, right? A lot of times you grab these really good entries, and you're like, boom, you grab an entry, and you're like, all right, I'm in here, and then you see a push up, but you don't realize that it's actually still pulling. It's going to come back down to you, right? So it's like, all right, so if I right here, I should be getting out 50% of my position, and then I'm going to let this moon and these RSIs play out, and I'm going to look to buy back in a little bit, 50% of my up right now. I'm going to take out, and I'm going to put it back at a lower price, maybe 17 cents, right? And that just kind of lets you know where you're at. So it's all moons and trends. Like you see right here, we have all red trends. So right now, this we would call this this is in a short position, right? And if I go to my 15-minute, I can see here. So before anything really happens, right, I have to have a 15-minute moon and trend to start a reversal, right? So this is the first set of a reversal that came in, and now it's going to go to where it's going to consolidate here and find a floor to get it up. So you're almost right there. Like it don't look like it's going to pull back too much, but it's consolidating right here. So we have a moon, we have a trend. So now we're in a position where we know it's going to go sideways for a while, but it's already letting me know by having a 15-minute moon and trend. I already know that it has a little bit of volume here, so it's starting to find a consolidation area. So which is good. So now I can kind of look at this and go, all right, so at least it has some type of action where people are have limit orders or buy limits in that section, and they're building on there. So it's kind of like a nice little piece there, right? And that just lets me know. But I'm still looking at, if you're doing a trading aspect, you'd go, okay, I'm sitting at a 786 on the 15. That puts me at 16 cents, right? And the top version is 1693. So about 17 cents would be, would probably pan out to be somewhere you would say would, if it does pull back, that would be where we'd looking to buy. But to eliminate all that, the only thing I'm waiting for is I need the 1 hour trend to come in, right? That's would be my alert. My 1 hour green trend would tell me that we're actually building momentum. So I would just right click on here, put a trend alert, and when that trend alert hits, that's going to tell me that volume is actually here. So you see right here, this green, when it goes red to green, I would be setting an alert on this green here just to let me know that it's actually has enough volume to create an upward movement. So I would set that up, and then when I get a trend alert, it'd be a one or two candles before I have time to go look and say, okay, I got a green trend coming. I can start looking at my entry points. So that would just give me that'll take all that work out instead of worrying about where it is. Just put a green trend alert. That green trend alert goes off. We come back, then we can assess where we need to be, what we need to get, put ourselves in there, and then boom, we already know that we're starting to get the volume we need to be successful on what we're doing. So it just saves time, makes shit easy, very simple. Hmm. Yeah, yeah, like on the trend sides. So we use another thing on the indicator. We're always with Haki Nashi candles. They're just cleaner. They eliminate a lot of the noise, and it just makes the entries more confirmation. It has to be fuller. It has to be, um, you know, like I said, when you're using leverage and you're using trading, you don't want to, you want to lower risk, right? So by being in the middle of the trade, you're already on the good side of it because the bottom's already in, the floor's already in, and now you just need a little momentum. So right there, you've eliminated 50% of the possibility of losing the trade, right? So that's really what's key to trading is eliminating the possibilities of losing. If you can get rid of 50% of the reason why it won't happen, that just makes your winning percentage, 50% better. All right. So that's why we just wait for confirmation on volume and price action because that's the only thing that matters. It doesn't matter. Like this chart can set up right here. This chart can look like, okay, here, like if I looked at this as a regular trader, right? And you can confirm this. I go back and I say, okay, let me take a look at my 4 hour, right? So just to do an evaluation, right? So I do a quick evaluation on here and I say, okay, where's my support line? So here's my first volume support line. I already know that I'm in this section here, right? So that's my buy zone. So this would be if I was looking to get a entry point, right? I would be going off of these areas. So my two top areas is I would shoot for an entry point here at 1509. My second entry point would have been off of here at 1619, right? And these are the two entry points that I would be looking for this coin to get an entry. Those are my support areas right there. And you can tell right here that's the trading zone in here where you have a trading channel up and down. You can see here that the coin played out in there, right? So it showed support on this level a couple times. When it broke through, it found resistance. When it broke up there, came back, found, broke the support, and it's got a channel here, right? Where it kind of operates every time that after a pump, it goes through this little channel here. So this channel would be a trading area that we would be looking for to take advantage of a trade, right? Which is where you'd set your buys at 16 cents, maybe even 15.50. But this middle of this channel would be the target area of an entry. So if you were doing trading right there, this is where you would say to yourself, okay, this is an area where I would say that this is probably my buy zone area right here. And then after that, you're just waiting for confirmation, which is you can see my trend line here. This trend line is coming up, and this trend line will turn it green. So this right here is a trend line, right? So this right here is normally where I'm going to look for it to come back to make its move. And you can see here, it already hit it. So at the end of the day, we hit our trend line. So the entry point at 1635 would be confirmation of a, an area of support for reversal. And also, it could come back and retouch it again. So we can get to another point here where we're at 1672 and we can move up to this level where it's going to bounce in between here. Now, the thing is, we don't know how many times it's going to come back to this area, how many times it's going to push up and, come back and forth because you don't know if, we don't know the price action, right? That's why the indicators are so important because I can look at this and go, okay, these are the areas I want to buy. But at the end of the day, unless there's people buying, then I don't have any reason to buy. So if I go in here, the only thing I need to know is that when I get a 4-hour moon, that will let me know that people are actually putting volume in this coin and I should go look at buying it. So I don't have to wait on GRT anymore until I get that 4-hour moon. That's the bottom line. If I don't get that moon, then I don't have a trade. So I don't have to really focus too much on it. I already have, an idea of what I have. So until I get that alert. So you see here on the RSI, that's what I was talking about earlier. The RSI is starting to bend up, which would be normally a good time to start buying into this trade. But it's also, you can see here the price money. See my price action line going sideways? That just means there's no volume here. So I'm not going to buy in this zone here because there's money still going out of here, which means it can still pull back. And at any time, the people that are holding this crypto can, get paper hands and decide that it might not be able to recover. And then they might start selling off again, driving the price down even further, right? So instead of getting caught in that indecision, I'm just going to wait for my money to start coming in properly. I'm going to wait for the price action to actually validate that the coin is moving. And then once all that happens, then I'll get into my trade and I'll take my quick, 1, 2, 3% trade and walk away with 100, 200, 300% profit. But I didn't have to, go through the agony of being in this situation for, a day or two. You know what I mean? That makes sense. And that's what the indicate. That's why it's like you don't have to, like a lot of guys are like, yo, because I used to, doing support resistance. Like if you watch me back in the day, I could break down a chart, give you fucking entries like, like God. It's like that's not hard to do, but that takes hours of time, right? The reason why we have these indicators is because I don't want to do that, right? So for instance, like here's an indicator where we're green, we have a buy, it goes red, we sell. Now most traders, when you see this move, they would be anticipating this to retouch the 200 moving average or even the trend line here, and you're kind of waiting for it to come down and then it starts to move. This goes green and lets us know that we're actually in a trade, right? So we get our push up there. Right? So it's kind of like that's where we want to be. Plus, we have our moon, and you can see here the red moon comes in, and then we're out of our trade. So we avoided this giant dump because we have a 4-hour red moon. You see it? Now, this trade we would actually get out on the 1 hour, right? So if we go to the 1 hour, you're going to see a 1 hour red moon over here, right? See it right there? See the 1 hour? So the 1 hour moon actually closed our trade. I don't need to guess on what's going to happen to this trade. I already know that there's a 1 hour red moon. I'm out that trade. Look how much that saved me right there. That's the beauty of it. So that's why it removes all the um, emotions and kind of like the guessing and kind of saying like sometimes in your gut you're like, man, this looks like a really good trade. I got my support lines, I got all these things, and then you're like, all right, I'm gonna hold it, right? I don't need to be emotional when I trade. All I need to do is look at my 1 hour red moon and go, I'm out this trade. That's it. There's no money in the trade. There's no volume. There's no volume, then it's probably going to go down. Right? That makes sense? Yeah. So that's the beauty of the indicators, man. It just removes emotions, and then as for you, when you have a long time trading process, all this is going to do for you is going to confirm what you already think. So when you think something's going to happen, and then you're kind of sitting there and you're like, all right, this should bounce, but then all of a sudden you get a 1 hour red moon, and you're like, all right, I'm out. it helps you make your decision because now you don't have to wonder or guess. The volume is telling you that it's going to do the opposite right now, and then you know you're going to get a consolidation, and then you start resetting yourself up. But it allows you to save yourself 2, 3, 4% before the decision comes into where you're like, ah, man, do I need to get out? Because at that point, when you're down 3, 4%, you're like, well, what's it going to do? It's going to go down another 2% to support, maybe 4%. You start analyzing that it's okay to take another 5% loss because you weren't out early enough, right? But those losses add up. You take 5, 10%, put them in the other direction, that's compounding your money. Like you do that 10 times, that's another bag. You just doubled your money. So in 1 month, or sometimes in a week, in a month, if you make 10 of those decisions, you can double your money, right? So if you're trading $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, I mean, could you not use another $2, $3,000 at the end of the month? Yeah, yeah, yeah. The old school way. Yeah. So that's kind of like, yeah, that's kind of like why we have the indicators, right? Because that's the problem, right? I mean, don't the thing is that when you're a full time trader, you don't care and you enjoy the trades, right? So the one thing about being in the trading is that I like trading, right? So when I used to go out and do the trades, it was based on Thinkorswim. Is this done on Thinkorswim? You can use indicators as long as you have TradingView. You can use anywhere. So the part of the thing is that I don't mind being on charts. Like for me, charting is very easy. It's very easy for me to chart a chart. I've been doing it for 15 years. So I already have tips and tricks that I do are very fast, and the indicators um, are built on basically getting themselves to where they're for new people that have 24 hour, have jobs 5 days a week, families, kids, the dog, the wife, people, you got to do things, right? And you want to make a trade, but you don't have 6 hours. Yeah, you don't have 6 hours to stare at a trade. So at that point, the indicators come in, and what they do is they just kind of like set that up for you to where it's very simple. So that way, when you set your indicators, you get an alert, and the alert tells you like, okay, hey, yeah, at this point, this coin that you're watching is about to do well. You need to go look at it, right? So you're not watching trades all day, or you're not doing charts all day. You're just finding a coin that you want or like to trade, and then you put your alert on that coin, and when the alert goes off, then you go make your trades, right? So it just allows you to get out of, being stuck behind a computer for 6 to 8 hours. Now, when you're a content creator, we spend 6 to 8 hours on the trades anyways. So for us to do charts and all those other things, it don't really bother us. But like if you're a normal person, you know, I remember if you guys follow me, if you know me for years, there's times that I've been live trading for 36 hours, right? So to me it's kind of like it's just a hobby, right? So but a lot of people have lives, so that's what it's supposed to be. Let's see here, what's the prices? So send email, right? So that's kind of like what it is. So yeah, I mean, I get it. I understand Spartacus where he's like, I got out of trading because I couldn't sit at a chart for 6 hours. I get you. Right, that's part of why we have the indicators. It just makes life easy. um So let me see what it is here. Let's go through some of the chat here so we knock it out. Let's see. So moats, yeah, easier than triangles. Guys, this is let me explain like triangles and patterns and all these things, right? I don't know if you guys, a lot of times you guys get information and you don't research, like do the triple D, man, right? The triple D, this is a brand that'll be coming out, and we'll be pushing the brand. It's called triple D, right? And what it means is do due diligence, right? So do your due diligence, right? So it's everything in life is about information. Everything in life is about um, knowledge, right? So you got to have your due diligence before you do anything, right? So what this basically is if you guys did your due diligence and you researched like a bold flag or a bull pennant or a descending triangle, right? And you Google how often, what percentage is a descending triangle correct or a bull flag correct? And you realize the average time that these pennants, bull flags, or patterns play out, they average 57 to 67% accuracy. I mean, that's basically a coin flip, right? If I need something that's 90% correct. That's where I would say I'm going to follow that. But when you research a bull pennant or a bull flag or a descending triangle and you realize that it's only accurate 67% of the time, it's like, sheesh, you know, that's not the greatest in the world, but it's an ideal of what something can do, right? So I'm a numbers guy, right? I need higher percentages, right? I need the law of average needs to be in my favor. The percentages need to be in my favor, right? So to me that's why those things don't they're a lot harder to understand. It's because they're not no one ever tells you that follow the triangles because they're going to hit 100% of the time. That's just something that uh, traders or charters do because it just gives them an idea where a breakout should be, right? When you have a descending triangle, 6 out of 10 times it'll break up. And then what they don't tell you is that when it does break out, the breakout 5 out of 10 times will come back down. So in reality, you're in a coin flip, right? Now, depending on how you trade or your leverage, you can make money somewhere in there, but you're in a coin flip, right? They don't ever discuss the 4 times that it goes down before it breaks up, which is where everybody gets wrecked. And don't forget, guys, market makers understand. I'm market makers understand that you are following patterns. So if I'm a I'll tell you guys, like if you don't understand what a market maker is, right? A market maker can. I got buddies that are market makers. They can make a W pattern, an M pattern, a bull flag, a pennant. They can do anything that you want. And then when you start buying in FOMO, they dump on you, take your money, and then put that back in and double their money and then ride it all the way up. And then you FOMO back in because you lost. You do revenge trading and you put more money in and they ride it even further. And then they dump on you again and they crack up because they made 500% on you because you're emotional and you think you understand patterns. That's just, I mean, I'm telling you the way it is. Any pattern you want, they can create. Okay. You're playing right into the hands. It's kind of like, you ever go read how successful traders are, right? 90% of traders, day traders, are unsuccessful. That means 9 out of 10 of you guys on this chat are unsuccessful. Right? That's what that means, right? So at the end of the day, if you're 9 out of 10 is unsuccessful, you got to say to yourself, man, that's not we're not doing well. And if you go to YouTube and you look at all the people that are making, videos on how to trade or day trade, what are they teaching you? They're teaching you pennants, candles, triangles, they're teaching you patterns, they're teaching you all these basic things. And then you say to yourself, well, if everyone's learning the same thing and we're 9 out of 10 unsuccessful, what's happening? It's you guys are learning the same thing. That's what's happening. You guys are predictable traders. That's the problem. You guys are predictable traders. So then we end up in a situation where everything is based on predictable trading, right? So that's kind of what you end up at. So you need to get yourself in a position where you're trading with the money and you're trading with the whales, right? The price action, the FOMO. That's what you need to get into, right? So that's the key, right? So if you slide over, I'll show you the website. The website you can go to and kind of like see more. But if you're interested, man, you need to just send an email. You just send an email to VC Crypto Nation. I'll type it in at Gmail. Send me a Gmail, and say, hey, I want to talk about the course. I want to talk about trading. I want to, understand how to get involved. I want to like, do better at what I'm doing. And then we'll do a quick phone call or a chat in Discord, and we'll go over like what you're doing and what you're putting in. So, but we try to keep it real simple, guys. Right? We want to keep it where everybody's kind of like just doing something that you can do over and over and be successful doing, right? Versus doing something that you can't fix, right? So I think the biggest thing when it comes to trading is like I deliver pizza and invest in crypto. That's what it's all about. Start taking crypto for your pizza, bro. That worked out, man. Somebody made 400 million off that. So that's kind of like the basics, man. It's just understanding a system and structure that you can do, right? I think the other thing you guys do wrong is that you don't do something consistently. So every time your gains or your processes doesn't pan out and there's not the money isn't correct, I think what happens is, let me clear this log. There you go. Is that you don't understand how to fix your problems because you're doing too many different things, so you don't know where the problem is. When you do something step by step, right? So let's say if you're do something 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3, and then you realize that something's not working, you can fix it because you're doing 1 2 3, right? But if you're doing 1 5 7 8 1 5 9 2 1 2 7 1 5 4, you start changing your process, then you'll never find out where your process is broken because you keep changing the equation, right? Which is probably 90% of the problem out there. Probably 99, I'll tell you that much. All right. That's why you need to have something, man. That's basic. Let me see. So I mean, right? Hold up. Let me get my boy on here. Let's dig. Finally figured it out. So guys, if you're interested in getting in any information about that, send me a Gmail. I'm going to be checking emails right now. But that's how easy it is to get into the system, make the trades. It's simple. What up, bro? I'm going live, man. How you feel? YouTube and TikTok, man. I just got your message, bro. They beat up on those liquidations, huh?